Andrew McFarlane here, and today I want to talk to you about not projecting your ignorance onto other people, and also not projecting wisdom onto other people. But first, let's start with your ignorance. When I was much younger, I had a lot of questions about life, the world, our spirits, the nature of reality, and a lot of questions that I just assumed because they were experienced them as being so far out. Questions like, is our spirit eternal? Do we exist beyond the body? I just naturally assumed that because I didn't know the answers to these questions, that nobody knew, and that it was actually impossible to find out, only to realize that it is possible to find out. And I realized that as a mechanism that we do this, that we actually project our ignorance onto other people, that not only in scenarios like I just mentioned, but in other situations, because we don't know something, we either assume that nobody knows or that it's impossible to find out. So that's just one mechanism of the mind that I want to look at in this moment. The next thing I want to talk about is projecting wisdom onto other people. There may be situations where, like I mentioned, we don't know something, and someone may tell us the conceptual answer, and we believe it because we've deemed someone as a authority, and this might be a spiritual authority, this could be an intellectual authority, but we've deemed someone else outside of ourselves as an authority. So we then make an agreement and believe that what they're saying is true, but we don't confirm it for ourselves experientially. We just assume that person told me this thing, I believe in them as a human being, and so I believe that what comes out of them is also true. But the tricky thing about this is that, one, it doesn't actually get us closer to the truth. And two, it's also not necessary to believe things. This is in some ways can be seen as a whole other conversation, but I'll just touch on it right now, is that we live in a world of people identifying very heavily with their beliefs. People will come and ask you, what do you believe? Do you believe that that's good? Do you believe that that's bad? But what value does belief really, really have in comparison to experience, in comparison to knowing? Belief, to me, I think the word belief is kind of almost interchangeable with the word hope. When you say you believe something, it's almost like saying, I hope that that's true. Whereas I find that being neutral and also being in the question is the greatest opportunity for you to find something out truly, truthfully. Because if you believe something may or may not be true, it doesn't get you closer to actually finding out. And if you believe something and it is true, but it's also not experientially true, it still keeps you from a distance from absorbing the information and becoming the truth that you know or that you at a certain point believe. So overall, this conversation is really just about checking in with our mind and noticing certain processes we have and how we interchange with the world, with other people, with reality, knowing that we can sit in the center. We don't always need to be moving outward. We don't need to be defensive. We don't need to disagree. We don't need to agree. We don't need to project ignorance onto people. We don't need to project wisdom onto people. We can stay in ourselves and stay as a student and keep learning and growing and find out the truth for ourselves so we can become what we know. All right, sending you all my love, always. Wishing you well. If you like the video, like it. If you feel called to share it, share it. If you're on YouTube and you want to subscribe to the channel, subscribe. And if you're not on YouTube and you're on Facebook and you want to go to YouTube, I have a bunch of videos on YouTube. You can go there as well. All right, I'll see you guys soon.